Welcome back to The Bloated Chef. I am Chef Jerome, an actual bloated chef. And before we get to today's informative and entertaining tutorial, please be sure to slap down on that like button, click the subscribe button, smash that notification bell, and share with the entire planet. Please keep your hands inside the ride at all times, and we thank you. And welcome back to the big board. And on the big board, we are attempting to replicate one of Britain's centuries-old favorite winter recipes, Yorkshire pudding. I've got some sausage links. They're not English sausage, so I'm going to use hot Italian, of course. And the key ingredient for me, I've got a little bit of leftover jus and some congealed fat from Portillo's, authentic Chicago beef. Here comes Yorkshire pudding and toads in a hole. Next up, maintenance and mise en place. There goes a tablespoon of dried rosemary. Here comes half a teaspoon of a garlic and peppercorn blend. We're going to go ahead and put a half a teaspoon of straight cracked black pepper as well. And we'll go ahead and mill that down, get into the mortar and pestle. And we basically want to grind that down so that that rosemary is not so abrasive, it's not so big, and it'll thin down a bit. You do the pokey 3 times on each side. And now it's time for the dry mix. That's 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And once again, we will season. There goes, probably half a teaspoon of fresh cracked pepper, half a teaspoon of kosher salt, and half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Now, half a teaspoon of our rosemary mix. Give that a quick mix, and we will set that aside. Next step, wet mix. We take those 4 eggs and we whip. And I mean, we whip it good. And keep whipping. Make it nice and fluffy. Make it bubbly, and then add that 1.5 cups of milk. Okay, and make that fluffy. Make that whipped up good. Now, a little bit of seasoning. About a half a teaspoon of flaky sea salt. And we will also add, going off of the rails here, about a half a teaspoon of some nice hot sauce. Whip it good. All right, enough of that. Now, next step, back to our dry mix. We add our green onions for color, crunch, and flavor. Give that a quick mix around, and now we'll begin to add bit by bit our wet mix to the dry mix. All right, little at a time. Do not pour it all in at once. You want to whip this through. It looks a little rough and chunky now. We'll add a little bit more, a little at a time, until we start to get this and see this smooth paste. We start to get rid of all the lumps and the nasty balls. From here, as you can see, we've got a nice smooth batter looking consistency. In goes the rest of our egg and milk mixture. Whip that through. You'll use a rubber spatula, get all the goodies off the sides. And then it's time to get this thing cold, because cold is the key. And into our fridge we go. Minimum 3 to 4 hours. I went the full 4. Now we will preheat our skillet. Add some EVOO, or just regular olive oil, or even canola oil. That'll be fine. Throw about a teaspoon of butter. And in we go with our sausages. These are spicy Italian sausages, not your English bangers that this recipe typically calls for. But however, we will go ahead and brown these on each side there, because up in Chicago and the Midwest, they like to go ahead and brown their sausages. You with me? At that, so. And we continue to move those sausages around to make sure we get coloration on all sides. You want to call them 4, you can call them 2, you can call them 3, I don't care. There's 4 sides on a damn sausage, alright? Yes, good coloration all the way around. They're not quite cooked all the way, which is exactly what we're after here. Okay, we will pull them and let them drain. Oh, those Those are some good looking sausages, no? Okay, so in lieu of cooking a full roast and catching all the drippings, I happen to have $1 million pile, about a quarter cup of some amazing beef fat from Portillo's. Look them up online, trust me, they're amazing. So all of that fat, plus the sausage fat. Now we're going to scrape that pan out, and we're going to save every bit of that yummy goodness. Alrighty, let's go ahead and slice these 2 sausages into 4, and as you can see, they're not quite cooked all the way in the middle. And all we're going to do here is kind of lay them in the pan and see how they'll fit. You know, basically, look, will we need 4? Will we need 5? Will we need 6? And also, we're going to go ahead and drop our toads in a hole inside of our muffin tins. So everything looks like it's going to line up perfectly, and off we go. And into our 400-degree oven. Make sure those pans are blazing hot. In the meantime, tablespoon of butter, teaspoon of olive oil, and in goes 1 thin sliced shallot and 1 very thin sliced bulb of garlic as we make a quick pan sauce utilizing that wonderful jus from the Chicago beef. And as we season appropriately with flaky sea salt and fresh cracked pepper, we will add about a half a teaspoon of our ground rosemary and peppercorn mix. We're going to kind of bolster the flavor on this sauce, right? Now we've got some nice browning going on. What do we do next? Well, we deglaze. I had about a half a cup of some good sherry left. So we will deglaze and cook that alcohol out. As you can see, it's cooking down, cooking out. As you can see, we are now ready, I think, to go ahead and add our beef broth, which we shall. This wonderful, holy cow, liquid gold, baby. And as we bring that to a wicked hard simmer, we'll go ahead and add our 2 tablespoons or so of Worcestershire sauce. And we're going to follow that up with about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. And we're just going to cook that down and let it lightly simmer and thicken as we go. Check this out. So I've got a chinois on top of a pot. We're going to take all of that yummy shallot and garlic mix. We're going to use that as a relish, but we're going to cook that sauce, reduce it even more, so it builds up a massive amount of flavor. You with me? I figured you were. And in the great French tradition, we will add a little more butter to the pan. We will add some green onions. We've got a nice smooth sauce. We're going to slowly reduce that. And while that's happening, we take our pans, our muffin tins out of the oven. Now it's time to add all that wonderful flavor. Yes, you call it fat. We call it flavor. Tablespoon of each into about 6 of these muffin tins, because that's really all we have enough for. Next up, we take the remainder of that, which is about 3 tablespoons, and just lay it in the bottom of that bread pan and watch what happens next now. Now back into our 425-degree oven for 15 more minutes to get that fat and those pans blazing hot. And as they come out, you may or may not be able to hear them sizzling. But now we've taken that icy cold batter out of the fridge, and we're going to drop it right into all that blazing hot fat. Now you're thinking, oh my God, this is a heart attack. And you're right. But you only eat this thing twice a year, so shut up! Enjoy it. Yeah, and now we take the remainder, which is about, I'd call it half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of batter, into all that yummy sausage fat and beef fat. Now we will drop our toads in the hole, if you will. There go our split sausages, right down the middle. And now watch what happens. All that fat gets absorbed into the pudding. That's why they call it Yorkshire pudding. Back into the oven at 425 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. And watch this. Are you ready? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. All right, let's try to plate this and make some sense out of it. So there goes our toad in the hole. Look at that crispy edges, that yummy pudding middle. Here comes some of that shallot and garlic relish over the top. And now we just take that wonderful light pan sauce we made. Did I say light? Okay, it's heavy. This is all heavy. Are you kidding? You drop one of these next to a piece of prime rib or a New York strip sliced sirloin. Get the fuck out of here. Look at that thing. And by the way, there was a horrific blizzard here in Georgia. God, how did we ever recover?
This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world. Oh, it's like 400 or 500 feet into the sky. And it's a terrific crash, ladies and gentlemen. The smoke and the flames now, and the flame is rising to the ground, not quite to the mooring mast. All the humanity and all the...
Wow. It's about 38 degrees out there. Clear skies, cold. And this hits you right in the heart. Soothing, rustic. Boy, comfort food at its finest. And pretty easy too. Gotta get that good beef fat though. That's the key. Hope you enjoyed this one.